welcome along to another race in the virtual racing of West Wales karting, and today we're racing at Willow Springs International Raceway on a very special event because it's a endurance event with 4 different classes and 3 drivers in each class, so that's 12 drivers all on track, and we are racing for an hour and a half on this 2.5 mile 9-turn circuit, which remains unchanged since 1953 when it was first constructed. And in the LMP1 class we have Alex, CDL and Cherryberry and Stuart, and they're starting now, and that's Cherryberry who's got into the lead ahead of Alex, CDL, and Stuart Davis is in 3rd place. And in the LMP2 category just behind there we've got Liam and Chris Doherty battling away, and also we've got there in the GT3 class, Scuderia Sam, who is on pole in that class, and he's running wide there now, but he's lost positions to Alex Brown and D-Man 221, and that's Crazy Stewpot, I think, was it? Recovering? No, Crazy Stewpot still out ahead in the LMP2 car. And we've also got the touring car class to watch out for, with BDCC Dan, the Big Bad Wolf, who really likes these cars, both of them do actually, and the Unfixed Drone as well in the other touring car. And we see now Scuderia Sam battling away with Alex Brown. So although this is a 1.5 hour race, we are actually, these are the highlights for the race, because the end of the race didn't record on the ProjectCars2 game. It only recorded the first half, so we'll be seeing just the highlights of the first half. But the positions after the first half of the race were pretty much the same as they were at the end. So as you can see there, that's Chris Doherty in the LMP2 car, and there's Alex CDL. Alex CDL is actually having a drive-through. He's having a drive-through because he had a penalty on the formation lap, incredibly. Not quite sure how he managed to do that. There must have been a bit of an error with the game, because that's lost him a lot of time, but he's incredibly fast in these cars. So we'll see if he can catch back up, but Stuart is in the lead in these early stages ahead of Cherryberry. And Liam is leading the LMP2 class. And that's Stuart there, and just behind I think we saw Cherryberry going off the track a little bit. And strategy will play a big part of this race. The LMP2 cars will probably need to pit a couple of times. And it depends as well on not just how much fuel they take on, but what tyres they go for. They've got soft or hard compounds. There's D-Man. He is the only Ferrari runner out there today, as the other 2 GT3 cars are McLarens. And I think the general consensus with some of the drivers was that the McLaren handled a bit better around this track than the Ferrari did, although there's, who was that? Scuderia Sam, I think, running a little bit wide through the last corner. Very fast flowing circuit, popular with many drivers. A few elevation changes, cambered corners, as we see a cone going flying there. And there's Chris Doherty, and he's hunting down, I think it's Liam just ahead of him. Chris Doherty we know to be very quick, of course, but so is Liam. They've both challenged for the top positions in the virtual races that we've held. They head now around this very long right-hander, and we switch back to watching D-Man 221 in the yellow Ferrari, and Scuderia Sam, who usually goes for the Ferraris, but he's chosen McLaren for this race, although it's coloured red, as is the other McLaren as well, so maybe they're forming a bit of a look-alike Ferrari team. And Chris Doherty and Liam come together a bit there. Chris Doherty lost out in the end though, he's lost some time, and we've seen an LMP1 car coming through, so these drivers are going to have to watch out for, there's nearly a bit of an incident then. They're going to have to watch out in their mirrors for cars coming. Oh, there's a big crash. Oh, Chris Doherty gets taken out. Oh, and there's another LMP2 car in there as well. That's Stuart, Crazy Stewpot. And the LMP1 car, who was that? I think that was that Alex? I'm not quite sure. There might have been Alex, who was recovering from his penalty drive-through. And now we see Scuderia Sam, and he's trying to find a way through on D-Man 221. He hasn't quite made it this time round, but they're having a good scrap. Scuderia Sam does like these GT cars, as we've seen in the past races. And now Big Bad Wolf, who likes the touring cars, he is battling away with the unfixed throne. BTCC Dan is out in the lead in that class at the moment, at this stage of the race. Now we're on board with Alex, who is behind Stuart Davis now. And they head down the main straight. Stuart Davis, he crowds Alex onto the grass a little bit, so this is obviously fast forward the race a little bit now. There's contact. Alex is off the track. And he's spun. Oh dear, Alex, he's got a lot of pace, but he's thrown it off the track a couple of times and he's made a few errors. And there's Scuderia Sam there, he is now past and leading the GT3 class in that McLaren. And his McLaren teammate Alex Brown is he's still behind. Well, he's quite a way behind actually the Ferrari of D-Man 221. And we see Cherry Berry in the black and green LMP1 machine. I think they've all gone with the same LMP1 cars, possibly. And who's that going past? Well, we're on board with the unfixed throne, and we're just seeing some of the faster classes going through. I think that was D-Man in the Ferrari going past, and before that we saw an LMP1 car. You can really see the speed difference here. This corner that they're taking right now is flat out in an LMP1 car. But for a touring car, it's a proper challenge. And you can see the speed differential on the straight too. That's a great thing about watching different classes of cars on the track at the same time, is the drivers have to know what race they're in and fight the people they need to fight, and not waste too much time getting lapped, getting past, or pass in as well. Some of that is luck, where you catch them on the track, and other bits is a bit of skill as well. You don't want to be diving into a corner, losing loads of time on the exit, if you can just wait and power past on the next straight. And we see Crazy's two-pot there powering past one of the touring cars. I think it might have been BTCC Dan. So at the moment, Stuart Davis is leading overall in the LMP1 car, and that's Alex Brown we're riding on board with. I think it was Alex in the LMP1 car going past. So the two Alexes on track together. So at this stage of the race, we've got Stuart Davis, we've got Crazy Stewpot, Scuderia Sam and BTCC Dan leading their respective categories. And the LMP2 cars, they all pit together on the same lap. But Stewpot is still in the lead at the moment, and we'll see that soon. Alex CDL in second has got the pace, but can he keep it on the grey bit? He's been having some handling issues, as have all of the LMP1 guys actually have had some handling issues in this track for whatever reason. Maybe because of their tyres going off. Scuderia Sam we're looking at now in the red McLaren. And he is getting passed there by the LMP1 car of Alex. And Alex fires down the road after the touring car there. Of possibly the Big Bad Wolf, not quite sure. He is 3.5 seconds behind Stuart Davis. Next, Stuart Davis is going to try for a two-stopper, but he'll have to make sure he has enough fuel at the end. And who's that off? I think there's someone off in the background there. It was a green touring car. And there's two cars off there. There's Chris Doherty in the LMP2 car, and the leader, Stuart Davis. He's lost a lot of time there, look. And he's actually lost so much time that Alex has got through in the other LMP car. Alex CDL now takes over the lead of the race. Cherry Berry is quite a bit off the lead. He is in third position. Stuart Davis now, he's 7 seconds behind Alex CDL as we skip forward in time in the race a bit. Liam battling, well, he's a good few seconds behind the leader in the LMP2 class, Crazy Stupor. And this is a long race, and although you have time to make up ground at the end, you still don't want to be losing time early in the race, because it makes it a very hard long race then. You want to get yourself in the battle nice and early without any mistakes. And there's Big Bad Wolf, he's doing some rallycrossing. If we ever do a rallycross event one day, I'm sure the Big Bad Wolf will win it quite easily. He's been practicing a lot. And there's the Hunfix throne. He is in 12th position. But he's driving a very solid race. Oh, big crash. That's Cherryberry in the LMP1 car. He resets the car and is back on the track now. Cherryberry has a massive impact with the crash barriers, the orange crash barriers, and now he's going past one of the red McLarens. It's either Scuderia Sam or Alex Brown. And that's a big shame for Cherryberry, who was already quite a bit off the lead, and now he's almost a minute off the lead. And then we see Alex CDL. He's 13 seconds in the lead now of the LMP1 class. Going on to the main straight. Oh, he's coming into the pits. Alex CDL is pitting. We'll see what tyres he takes on, how much fuel he decides to carry. Because obviously the more fuel you carry, the slower you'll go, but you don't want to be losing too much time in the pit stops either. And Stuart Davis now takes over the lead as Alex is in the pits. There's Alex. He's having a very long stop, so he must be taking on a healthy amount of fuel, but he's away now. And you might recognise that pit lane there from, if you've seen the film Ford vs Ferrari, or Le Mans 66 as it's also called, the recent film with Matt Damon about the 1966 or 1960s rivalry, let's say, between Ford and Ferrari. Is well worth a watch. This track featured in. And Crazy Stewpot still leading the LMP2 category. So we've got the two Stewarts leading the two fastest categories, and that was someone just pitting ahead. Who was that? Was that Cherryberry pitting? I think it might have been. And there was certainly a car just ahead coming in, but look, now we're seeing all the LMP2 cars pitting on the same lap. Is that because they've all got to the bottom of their fuel tanks and they're all having to pit now, or is it just coincidence? We'll find out maybe. There's Chris Doherty in the other LMP2. Let's see if he pits as well. Indeed he does. So an interesting strategy at play here. And we're seeing Cherryberry falling down the order. Liam is ahead of him now. And Crazy Stewpot is away down the pit lane, but I think Liam has managed to get ahead in the pit lane. So yeah, Liam is ahead. And we're hearing that Crazy Stewpot didn't take on any new tyres in that one, so he must be feeling quite good on these tyres and that they'll be able to last. But even though he didn't take on any tyres, he still lost a position to Liam. He must have got held up badly in the pits. And meanwhile, Cherryberry is still in the pits. I think there's a problem. And I'm hearing he's been disqualified from the race. Cherryberry has been disqualified for speeding in the pit lane. And he is out of this race. So one of the main contenders, one of the LMP1 cars, is out. Oh, that's terrible news for Cherryberry. And there's Stuart Davis. Let's hope he's not disqualified too. I think he's just in the pits. He's just having some fuel, and I think he's taking on new tyres as well. So we're down to two LMP1 cars. And it's someone running very wide in the background there. Oh, that's Cherryberry. Cherryberry is still in the race, I beg your pardon. But he does get disqualified. Spoiler alert. But he's not disqualified yet. He just had a very, very long pit stop. I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he was having a bit of a toilet break or a cup of tea or something. But now we see the two red McLarens on track together with an LMP1 car trying to come through, and that's Alex Brown. He's way off the track. I don't think a car's ever been off the track that far. And there's Chris Doherty. Look, he's coasting. What's wrong with Chris Doherty in the LMP2 car? As Alex Brown returns to the track, and he was just being lapped there by an LMP1 car and his McLaren teammate. But look, Chris Doherty is really coasting. I think he's running out of fuel. And yeah, he is running out of fuel, and he didn't take on any fuel at his pit stop, so bit of miscommunication with his virtual pit crew, and he's going to have to crawl around and hope he makes it back to the pits. Otherwise we're going to be seeing a car DNFing in the LMP2 category. That's Stuart Davis now. He's 29.9 seconds off the lead of Alex CDL in the LMP1 category. He runs very wide there. And I think we just saw... Oh, that's Cherryberry. He made collision with the pit wall. Riding on board with Cherryberry. Comes round the last corner, runs a little bit too wide. He's already made his pit stop. Didn't quite get back onto the circuit and smash straight into the pit lane. Instant disqualification for speeding in the pits, and that's a big shame for him. So down to two LMP1 cars now in this race. Crazy Stew Pot is in the LMP2 category, and he was leapfrogged in the pits by Liam, but he might be struggling on those tyres before long. Oh, and then we see Chris Doherty. He's still struggling a little bit, but I don't think he's coasting anymore, is he? We'll see if the touring car gets past him or not. If it does, then he's definitely coasting, but it looks like he's back up to full speed now, so I think he's just taking on some fuel and he's alright. Oh, and there's BDCC Dan. BDCC Dan has spun around in the green touring car. In a bit of lift-off oversteer coming through that tight right-hander. And he will have lost a lot of speed down the straight. But he's got a big gap to Big Bad Wolf, who is in second place in the touring car category. So he's safe enough. And there's D-Man 221. He's falling back all the while from Scuderia Sam in the GT3 class. He's in a bit of no man's land because Scuderia Sam is way up ahead, and Alex Brown isn't really posing much of a challenge. He's about a second a lap off the pace of D-Man 221, but D-Man 221's about a second a lap off the pace of Scuderia Sam, so the GT class isn't seeing particularly close racing. But the LMP2 category is, because there's Liam. And Crazy Stew Pot isn't too far behind. There he is. Crazy Stew Pot in the silver LMP2 machine. And Liam in the brightly coloured yellow LMP2 car. And he's just about to be lapped by the LMP1 of Stuart Davis, who's trying to find a way past, but he's losing a bit of time here to Alex CDL, who's pulling out a 42-second gap on him now. So we'll see if he can make that back through strategy, and here's riding on board with the Big Bad Wolf, and we see two prototype cars flash past, LMP1 and LMP2. And these two corners here, the last two corners, are pretty much flat out in those cars, but not in this touring car. It's not. Oh, very close there. With I think that was Crazy Stew Pot. And BDCC Dan goes into the first corner. He's actually not too far behind Alex Brown, who was in the class above, so that's pretty impressive from BDCC Dan. See if he can catch Alex, if Alex makes a few mistakes. And now we see the battle for the lead in the LMP2 class between Crazy Stew Pot and Liam. It's really hotting up as they're together on the track. And I think that was Liam made a mistake and Crazy Stew Pot has got through. Yeah, and now Crazy Stew Pot's made a mistake now though, and Liam's got back through. This is a great duel between the two of them in the LMP2 class. Chris Doherty, of course, had that mistake earlier, but... Oh, and they think they've collided. Yes, they have. They've collided, and they're both off the circuit. Crazy Stew Pot and Liam are both off. Returning to the circuit now. Who's going to get out on... Oh, they collide again as they come onto the circuit. Steady on, boys. There's a long way to go in this race yet. But Crazy Stewpot takes his car for an extra bit of scenic tour of Willow Springs across the grass, sandy area. I don't really know what it is off the side of this track, to be honest. Bit of grass, bit of sand. It's on the outskirts of a desert, so certainly some sand. And there's Stewpot passing Liam again. It's an epic duel between them both, but they're losing a lot of time by taking each other out like this. Although Chris Doherty is so far behind, it won't really make much difference. But the lap times they did in the last one are slower than what Scuderia Sam's doing in the GT class, and indeed D-Man 221. Oh, another collision. BTC Sedan just got taken out there by Liam. And that's the sort of thing you can see in multi-class endurance racing, is cars crashing together like that. But in the end, it went down to the wire, and Alex CDL managed to take the win from Stuart Davis. Stuart Davis nearly ran out of fuel in the end, but he managed to bring it home after some lift and coasting, and Alex struggled with his tyres. Crazy Stewpot and Liam in the LMP2 category finished in first and second ahead of Chris Doherty. Scuderia Sam takes the win in the GT class ahead of D-Man 221, and BTCC Dan won the touring car class after Big Bad Wolf got disqualified for speeding in the pits and Alex Brown retired. Thank you for watching.